Hello, everyone. Hope you're having a fantastic day. My name is Kmart, and I want to talk about some basketball. And today, we are going to be talking about the Los Angeles Clippers and what the team sort of looks like, what their plans might be for the future now that they have officially lost Paul George in free agency. So, kind of gave away the headline right there. Paul George officially announcing that he will not be rejoining the Clippers. He intends on signing with the Philadelphia 76ers instead. So, what happens next for LA? What do the Clippers do from here? We'll start with maybe the more positive news for the Clippers, which is that their team is not starting from scratch. They've still got a lot of star power on their roster, starting obviously with Kawhi Leonard. Leonard is still under contract through the 2026-2027 season. He's coming off of a campaign where he averaged just under 24 points. He set a career high in terms of field goal percentage and shot the second highest three-point percentage in his career so far, all while playing 68 regular season games, which is the most he had played since back in his days with San Antonio, I believe. Now, the emphasis there is regular season games, because once we got to the playoffs, Kawhi Leonard missed time again, right? He only played in 2 playoff games, so unfortunately the injury worries are not all gone, and at this stage, I'm not sure they ever will be, right? Given his history. But he is still someone that the Clippers will pretty happily build around moving forward if and when he is healthy. So they've still got Leonard. The Clippers also managed to re-sign James Harden in this offseason. Now, his scoring numbers are obviously down from where they were, at the height of his power. His assist count is down a little bit from the last couple of seasons as well. However, even with that being said, Harden still averaged something in the realm of 16 points per game, along with 8.5 assists per game, and shot 42.8% from the field while missing only around 10 games for the Clippers. So he's still someone that the Clippers will probably be pretty happy with in terms of running their offense. And in terms of the numbers, with Paul George now out of the offensive scheme, I could see a scenario where both the points and the assist count for Harden maybe tick back up a little bit, considering he might have the ball in his hands even more often than he did last season. Right? It's a possibility, remains to be seen, but it could see his numbers bump back up. Speaking of numbers, looking at maybe one last positive for the Clippers here, they were one of the more efficient shooting teams in the league last season. That's something that they could potentially maintain going into this next campaign. They were 6th in both field goal percentage and three-point percentage last season, and they were 3rd in terms of free throw percentage. So they shot the ball well. They were maybe not the best team in terms of total volume when it came to their shooting, but when they did shoot the ball, they were one of the more efficient teams in the league. Losing Paul George may change that slightly, but the rest of the team shot well. I don't really see a massive fall off coming just because their star player left. So those are the positives for the Clippers. Now we get into some of the concerns, because there obviously are concerns for a team like the Clippers losing one of their star players. And concern number one is that it's not just one player that they're losing here, because according to most reports, Los Angeles is going to be losing Russell Westbrook as well. Westbrook did pick up his player option with the Clippers, but from what we've seen reported, he did so with the understanding that that move was made to facilitate a trade somewhere else. As of right now, the talk is Denver for a potential location for Russell Westbrook, but I don't think any move has officially been finalized just yet, but it is looking extremely unlikely that he remains with the Clippers moving forward. So if that's the case, if Westbrook is out alongside Paul George, That means the Clippers will have lost 2 of their top 5 scorers from the previous season and a combined 33.7 points per game between George and Westbrook. So how do they make that difference up if you're the Clippers? How do you match that production? Some portion of it is going to be sort of redistributed back to the other 2 stars, Kawhi Leonard and James Harden, but I don't see those 2 guys upping their scoring output enough to score an additional 34 points per game between the 2 of them, right? Extremely unlikely. You can get some, but not all. So the question then becomes, do the Clippers go and look to bring in a definitive third guy? Do you go and make a trade for a third star? Or do you look to guys currently on the roster who were 4th or 5th options last season, guys like Norman Powell, guys like Ivica Zubac, guys like Terrence Mann? Do you look to push them into larger roles on the offensive end to try and make up for that lost production? Or to take maybe a second or third approach here, do you look to add enough sort of role players to your second unit, to your bench, to match that production by committee effectively, right? Because we have seen the Clippers be active in free agency so far. They've added depth to their roster, but not a clear third star as of yet, right? Taking a look at the players that they've gotten in this offseason so far, they drafted Cam Christie with the 46th pick, and they've signed Derrick Jones Jr., Chris Dunn, Nick Batum, Mo Bamba, and Kevin Porter Jr. Now, for most of those guys, they are in a situation where they have either never really been reliable options on the offensive end, or in the case of guys like maybe Batum or Chris Dunn, they have been so in the past, but either inconsistently, or in the case of Batum, 6 or 7 years ago in terms of when they were averaging significant offensive numbers. So these are all certainly guys that the Clippers will appreciate having on their bench, but I don't know if any one of them can be that sort of clear third star. If you're looking for a candidate, technically, by just the numbers and taking nothing else into account, Kevin Porter Jr. could be that guy. You look at his scoring output when he was with the Rockets, and it does look pretty impressive. But Kevin Porter Jr. has some off-the-court stuff that might affect his chances here with the Clippers. He was out of the league last season and playing overseas because he was facing domestic violence charges, and that has not 100% sort of cleared up on the legal end of things. Not a lawyer, not going to get any deeper into it than that. So it's kind of an iffy situation there. So if you're the Clippers, there's a definite possibility that a positive scenario could play out here, right? Either one of the newcomers that I just listed or one of their guys already on the roster, like Powell or Zubac, could step up, could slot into that sort of third star role alongside Kawhi Leonard and James Harden and sort of be the guy for them. It's also possible that they sort of do this by committee, that somewhere in the realm of 2 to 4 of those players that I mentioned combine to average you 20 to 30 points per game, right? In that instance, no one guy really has to sort of step up. You just kind of collectively cover for the missing production. In that case, the Clippers kind of get off the hook. They don't have to go and chase another big name. They can sort of match that production and just build around the guys that they have in in Harden and Kawhi Leonard. So overall, the Clippers have foundational pieces to build around, right? Harden and Leonard will constitute sort of the main duo for the Clippers moving forward, but they're going to need to adapt to, I guess we'd say, a new style, right? The Clippers spent the last 4 to 5 years really being entirely focused around that duo of Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, and now there's no more Paul George, obviously. So this is not a full rebuild. The Clippers are not starting from scratch by any means, and I don't think the bottom's going to fall out here for them. They've still got quite a lot to work with, but they're going to have to make those changes. They're going to have to hope that one or more of the guys that they're bringing in really does sort of fill that gap for them in some form. So that's all I got, but let me know what you think. Do you think that one of the guys that I listed there, either the newcomers or one of their returning players, can be that sort of definitive third option for the Clippers? Or do you believe that Los Angeles should be out there looking for a big name to bring in, right? Either by free agency or by trade, because I think their cap situation is getting a little close to the threshold here. But either way, please feel free to let me know what you think. But other than that, thank you all so much for watching, and I will talk to you later.